Hi, my name is John.
And I'm Lloyd.
And we are the hosts of Pint of Comics, a podcast all about pop culture. Lloyd, what do we do sometimes on Pint of Comics that people might want to know about before they listen?
Well, sometimes we drop spoilers and sometimes we swear like sailors.
So, if you're okay with that stuff, listen in and enjoy the show.
You ever thought about the arena, Steve?
Welcome back to another episode of Pint of Comics. We are back with the guys from So Wizard. Joey, what's going on?
What is going on, everybody? It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having us back.
Absolutely. Marcellus, how are you tonight?
I am doing great, man. I am so, again, honored to be here. I love it.
It's great. We didn't talk about it on the last episode, but you guys don't record ever together, right?
No, I think we've
Once.
done twice.
Once that was actually released, twice actually that happened.
So this is on like one hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
that's and you guys have been together for like 8 years.
Almost.
Yeah, about 8 years. Yep.
That's insane. That's awesome and insane. And I always give you guys credit for this because not all shows are like this from the remote. You can't tell on your show. And I mean that for seriously. You don't sound like you're on, and Aubrey either. A lot of shows that do that, even when I do Pint episodes, I could usually tell like the guest is on a phone, or sometimes I'll sound different. Mm-hmm. You guys all sound great, and all three of you are in 3 different places.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
That's a huge compliment, dude. Thank you.
No, it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. And meanwhile, here on the Pint, you could hear the fucking train ripping through Wallingford, Connecticut here on this Saturday night.
That's the fucking hype train.
That's the hype train coming down the hype tracks. It's going to need it because the movie we're talking about tonight doesn't have a lot of hype. This is a S.F.A. 80s episode, science fiction, fantasy, and action from the 1980s. We talked about Megaforce not too long ago. Well, tonight, this one's interesting because this movie came out in 1989 overseas.
Oh.
So this gets the S.F.A. 80s based on that only. Okay. Because in America, it was released in 1991. When I watched it on, I think, Tubi, it said Arena 91. And I'm like, oh, shit, do I have to call Joey and say I can't do this show? Because, or, you know, I run the fucking show, so I could just bend the rules. But I'm like, oh, it's not an 80s movie. But then I started reading about it. And it's the whole Charles Band, Empire Pictures, Full Moon features thing. So if you don't know about that, in the 80s, Charles Band was essentially this filmmaker that made a ton of B, C, downward level films, okay? And he initially had a company called Empire Pictures. This movie was made for Empire Pictures. Empire Pictures went bankrupt. He was, I think, headquartered out of Rome. He moved back to America and started Full Moon Features, which I, as a kid, Joey, I can only imagine you too, I loved Full Moon.
Yeah.
Full Moon was really inventive, weird genre movies, and they did this thing that was unlike anybody else at the time. Nowadays, it's called a DVD Extra, where they did like a video magazine on the fucking videotape. Mm-hmm. So you would watch the movie, get through the credits, and then at the end, they would have like a making of the movie you just watched. They would have interviews with the creative team, and some of the movies you might know would be Trancers, would be Zone Troopers.
Doll Man.
I
was always a big Doll Man guy.
Puppet Master. And then, of course, they did the thing where they realized they had all these franchises, so everybody fought everybody. Trancers versus Doll Man. Yeah. Doll Man versus fucking this guy.
Zone Troopers was a finalist for when we were thinking about what movies we wanted to do for this, so...
Well, was it one that you had on the list?
Yeah, I sent you the trailer for that, Mark.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, so Arena's my fault, basically, is what he's saying.
Okay, all right, fair. Now, you picked one, Mark. Now, again, I watched these movies as a kid. I enjoyed quite a bit of them. Robot Jox, we did an episode on Pint a few years ago, favorite movies of 1990. Robot Jox is in my top 5 of 1990. I love that movie. Okay, it's cheesy, but it's fantastic. This is in the same era as that.
Yeah.
I had to struggle watching this movie in 2021. I felt like I'd seen this before, Arena.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but I can't say for sure. I definitely know I was familiar with it, but like it's one of those ones that if I watched it, man, that was 16-year-old me, and it is long gone. It is long gone. So, Joey, was it on your list initially, or?
Yeah, that was one of the ones I picked for us to think about doing. When you mentioned coming on the show, I threw Mark out like 5 or 6 trailers. I can't remember all of them, but it was Arena, Zone Troopers was one of them. I'm sure there was other ones, but yeah, I love this movie. I rented it as a kid. I went through a whole just period of time where I would just rent movies and watch them by myself, which is really sad. And they were always terrible movies. I remember, this is a few years later, but all my friends had girlfriends except me. When I was home by myself, I had nothing to do because there was just no one to hang out with. And it wasn't like the internet at the time, none of that stuff. So I just went to the video store and I rented Andrew Dice Clay's Brain Smasher, A Love Story.
Yeah.
And I just watched that by myself, and it was like one of the saddest moments of my life. Like, what am I doing with myself right now?
Yeah. I've lived that. I've been there. I've been there. Mark, had you ever seen Arena before? Are you a fan of Full Moon or any of these type of pictures?
This is all new to me. I had never heard of Arena, but like I said, Joey gave a list he gave me like links to trailers, and out of all of them, this was the worst.
Okay.
Or this was the least worst, I should say. So I'm like, I think this one might be tolerable. I think there might be some entertainment, quote unquote, movie value in this movie. So yeah, that's why I picked Arena.
I'm not going to play my cards, and honestly, this does not affect my rating that we'll give at the end of this movie, but I will say this. I had a long work week. I always have long work weeks. It took me 4 separate viewings to watch this hour and 25-minute movie because I kept falling asleep during it. And I didn't even fall asleep in like the fucking boring parts, which there are plenty of. I kept falling asleep during like the fucking final fight. I fell asleep during the middle fight. I would wake up, like I'd watch it from like 9 at night. I'd started it. Mm-hmm. And then around 10, I must have drifted off because I'd wake up on the couch at 2 in the morning with Tubi staring at me in the face. By the way, if you want to check this out, it's on Tubi currently.
Yes.
It's also on YouTube for free.
Oh, there you go.
That's where I watched it this morning.
And the YouTube quality, Joey sent me the link for the the YouTube version of it, and I got about 5, maybe 10 minutes into it. I'm like, this is garbage. The audio quality was garbage. So I was prepared to pay money to watch this movie, and luckily it was on Tubi for free.
Yeah, I champion Tubi, man. I don't know about you guys, but I love Tubi.
Oh, it's amazing.
Tubi and Pluto, my lord.
The YouTube video looks like someone held their phone up to a CRT TV playing a VHS tape of it. There literally is a moment later on in the movie where the tracking is off.
Tracking. Remember that?
Yes.
What the fuck is that all about? Like, what? I want someone to explain tracking to me. You know, it's like, well, the tape is magnetic. Like, why don't you just fucking make it so that it doesn't do that? But
fucking magnets, man. How do they work?
I was just about to say that.
What was it again? It was what is that song? How does he say it?
Fire, water, air, and dirt. Fucking magnets. How do they work? Yeah.
fucking Juggalos for life. I love Soul Wizard, and when you play that fucking sound drop, I laugh every fucking time.
I was sitting in the theater during F9, the Fast Saga, and I'm immediately was like, I got to get that soundtrack from Mark. It's like half the movie is about magnets.
Oh Lord! All right, so we got Arena, directed by a guy named Peter Manoogian, and that's his real name. Not a lot of credits. He was the production manager on The Howling. So,
okay.
Some credit there. The writers have some cred here, though. Yes. Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo. First of all, Danny Bilson's credit is Rachel Bilson's his daughter, and she's hot as fuck.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yes.
Dude, imagine you go on a date with her, you show up and meet her dad, and he's like, oh, I was a screenwriter. I wrote a movie called Arena. You might have heard of it. And you're like, well, fucking Arena, man. You just like push her off to the side.
You push fucking Rachel Bilson off to the side. Now you want to talk to her dad. Then you find out that he fucking wrote Trancers as well.
Yes.
Yeah, so Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo, basically a screenwriting duo. Yep. They wrote, as we said, fucking Trancers, The Flash, the TV show.
Nice.
Danny Bilson in 2007 wrote an arc of the actual Flash comic. And the fucking Rocketeer.
Nice.
Yes.
These guys wrote the Rocketeer, which is fucking. I think they're remaking it, or they're doing a legacy series. Is that what's happening?
They're working on something on it. It's been threatened by Disney for a while.
There's a cartoon, I think, right, with a little girl, and but I think that they're doing one like an actual show.
Every couple of years, they announce a Rocketeer reboot, remake, something, and they just keep announcing it. Nothing's ever happened except for that kids show.
The cartoon is like a legit toddler show, like a Dora the Explorer.
It looks very low age.
I gotta tell you, man, Rocketeer is one of my top 10 comic book movies of all time. It's amazing. I love that movie so much. I love it. And not just because of Jennifer Connelly.
No. It's legitimately a fucking fantastic movie.
Yep.
Fantastic period piece. It's a fantastic action movie. It's a movie that they don't make anymore.
Right.
Yep. Right. And unfortunately, it didn't do what they thought it would do. We never got another one.
Yeah.
But man, I watched that during COVID for the first time in quite a while on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And I got done with that thing, and I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
This thing fucking slaps, and it's still fucking great. Yeah. And fucking, I mean, you know, he's a good actor too, but Jesus Christ, Billy Campbell is like, he's the best looking man on earth in this movie. He's the best looking guy on earth. All right. So that's who the writers were.
They also wrote The Five Bloods, Spike Lee's movie that came out on Netflix a little while ago. Yeah,
Wow.
and I saw their names on the credits, and I'm like, all right, here we go, some Rocketeer, some Flash action, and the Spike Lee movie is going to be cool. And then the first 5 minutes of the movie, you see a guy get his head blown, get shot in the head. Like for real, like it's documentary footage. It's not like a movie.
Right.
It's like actual footage of a guy getting shot in the head. And I'm like, oh, this isn't like The Flash at all.
No. Yeah. Wow. I've heard The Five Bloods was good. Honestly, and this is going to sound like the shittiest excuse ever, I avoided it because it's like 2.5, 2 hours. Long movies are hard for me now.
Yeah.
Long movies are hard for me. A couple of weeks ago, on Thanksgiving, after festivities were all done and it was all quiet, I rented the new Bond movie. And I started at 6 o'clock at night. I finished 2 fucking days later.
Jesus.
2 hours and 43 minutes. And honestly, I love Bond, and I'm not afraid to go to the theaters due to COVID. But I was just like, I don't know if I have a 3-hour block that I really want to fucking spend in a movie theater.
Yeah, unfortunately, not that there's a review of The Five Bloods, but the length of the movie is kind of a detriment to it.
Yeah.
It is like an hour and a half movie spread out over 2.5 hours.
Yeah. We did it for Patreon when it came out, and that was kind of the consensus. It's really well made.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 5-star movie buried in this 3-star movie somewhere, but that's just what you get from those Netflix movies. They're going to entice Spike Lee to make that exclusively for Netflix by saying we're going to back off and let you do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Instead of having a producer come in and say, well, let's cut an hour and a half out of this movie and you have an Oscar contender. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite get to that level, but it's very good.
Yeah.
I will eventually check it out. He did another one, a World War II movie I liked quite a bit, but it was the same thing. It was really good, but it was fucking an hour. A Miracle at Santa Ana. I liked that movie.
That was a good movie.
But man, it was padded by like a half hour in the beginning and a half hour at the end that we could have just fucking cut out.
Yep.
All right, so this one here, it stars Paul Satterfield, a.k.a. fucking Christopher Reeve. Now, do you guys remember back in like 2002 when Spider-Man came out and Tobey Maguire, I don't know if you guys remember this or not, but Tobey Maguire had a bad back supposedly.
Yeah.
And he was threatening not to come back. They think it was a money thing. And Sony was like, we got Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right.
And Jake Gyllenhaal's ready to fucking go. And Tobey Maguire's like, fuck that dude, I'll do it.
That's why they made fun of that in Spider-Man 2. He falls down and bounces off the car, and he's like, oh, my back.
You're right, yeah. So my thing is if back in the 80s, if Christopher Reeve ever said, I wanted more money, someone could have just gone, we got this fucking Paul Satterfield guy, and we're not even going to say it's not you. This guy, did you feel it? You guys felt it?
It took me a while to pinpoint it, but I'm like, there is something real. I mean, the quality of the video is shitty.
That's right, yeah.
But I'm looking at him and I'm like, there's something familiar about this guy. And it took a while, but I'm like, holy shit, he looks just like Christopher Reeve, like a blonde, super blonde Christopher Reeve.
Yeah. He was in Creepshow 2. He is one of the guys in the Raft segment.
Yep.
Which is the best part of that movie. And I guess I didn't recognize him. I haven't seen the movie in forever, but he was in Bruce Almighty as well, I guess.
Yeah. I never even saw that to begin with.
Yeah, you're not missing anything. Hamilton Camp played Shorty. Shorty is a four-armed alien that they make it it's not a great effect, but boy, they're going to get every instance they can out of showing that he has 4 fucking arms.
Yep.
He looks like he's wearing a hula hoop around him.
Yep.
And then obviously there's probably some other guy strapped to his legs putting his arms through him. And we get it. He's got 4 arms. But every chance they get to show us he has 4 arms, they do. They're like, look, this is his big thing. This is our effect. We're going for it. Hamilton Camp passed away in 2005. He was in Joe Dirt. Character actor in a million things. But he was the voice of Greedy Smurf in the Smurfs cartoon.
Wow.
Claudia Christian played Quinn.
She looks good in this movie,
Yeah,
too.
she's
I gotta
hot.
tell you. Oof. I was like, wait, maybe I don't dislike Babylon 5.
And that's what she was mainly known for. I spent most of this movie going, this is the chick from Witchblade. It is not.
No, it is
That's
not.
Yancey Butler.
She wasn't drunk, so it definitely wasn't.
Listen. Here's the crazy thing, though, right? Here's the absolute crazy thing about that you say that. So I'm thinking that my head's screwed up, and I'm thinking Claudia Christian is the chick from Witchblade. And I know the chick from Witchblade had a bad alcohol problem. So I went into the IMDb to look up Claudia Christian, look up her history and stuff. She was also in The Hidden, which is a cool movie.
Oh, that's a great movie.
She is also a fucking alcoholic who, in the latter half of her career, has become known as a like a self-help person.
Okay.
But it's just really coincidental that they were both like bad alcoholics, and I thought that one chick was the other chick.
Maybe it was just the 90s. Maybe,
I
maybe
guess
they
it
just
might have
did it to him.
It might have been. Another thing I liked in this movie, and I mean this gets into it, but this movie doesn't force love between the two main characters. Like,
Right.
she's his manager. Every movie on Earth is going to have that moment where it's like, well, I realized it was you the whole time. And they kiss. They just make it a platonic friendship, basically. And at one point, he even says, like, how does someone that looks as good as you? Like, he's not even hitting on her. He's just, like, complimenting her. I actually like that. I like the fact that, like, they didn't try to shove some stupid fucking love story down your throat between the two of them.
Yeah, watching this when I was like 12, I appreciated that because I didn't want to see any love. I wanted
They want to fight you.
fighting rubber monsters.
And we get plenty of that. Two more. Armin Shimmerman plays Weasel. He's probably best known as being the Ferengi on Deep Space Nine. Quark, I think is his name. And then I couldn't pinpoint this guy other than I thought he was just like a low rent Dracula. But Mark Alamo plays Rogor, who's the villain, if you can call him a villain of this film. But he is also from Deep Space Nine and The Next Generation. Gal Dukat. He was the Cardassian. If you've ever seen any of that stuff, he was like one of the big bad guys. So that's your cast. Mark, do you want to explain give us the generalized plot of Arena?
So in the future, there is a kind of a Mortal Kombat type of, well, actually, it's like MMA in outer space aboard a space station. People fight and I think win money. I think
They win money and the champion of the universe,
and
Yeah.
which isn't really described as to what that is. So
So our hero works as a short order cook. He actually moved to the space station in hopes of becoming a fighter in an MMA or whatever it is. And
Arena. They literally call it Arena.
the
Right.
arena.
Yeah.
And now he gets into a fight and the opportunity presents itself for him to become a fighter in Arena.
right, but I think they were trying to make a bigger statement about like the arena are the bread and circuses, distracting the sad mobs of people that live in the bowels of the space station, but this is all lost in the movie. But
Yeah, I could see where you're coming from. They definitely don't even try to like portray that.
yeah,
Yeah, the space station is you could either pay rent apparently and have an apartment, which our hero does originally, but he gets kicked out.
Yep.
Or you could be like everybody else and just find the crack in the wall and go live in this fucking
live in the basement.
live in the basement, which everybody lives in.
Yeah, and then no human has won arena in 50 years.
50 years.
Something like that.
50 years. The last human champ is like a vagabond that lives in the crack in the wall.
Excellent actor. Let me tell you.
Oh, yeah, no, there's a lot of really good acting going on in this one. So the beginning of the movie really confused me because when you're introduced to Steve Armstrong, right? That's the character's name. He's a really terrible short order cook, but he probably wouldn't be as bad as if he didn't fucking watch TV while trying to do his job.
Right.
So he's trying to make like 7 different orders, and meanwhile he's fucking watching the arena fights.
Yep.
He can't even get one order done right. Shorty, who you think in the context of the movie is just his boss, turns out to be his sidekick for the whole fucking movie. They both get fired when a fight breaks out, and Paul, I'm sorry, Paul is the real guy's name. Steve Armstrong proves that he's a tough guy. He beats the shit out of this alien that looks like a fucking fish of some sort. Right. And a little bit after that, we get a scene where they're in Shorty's apartment in the bowels of the space station.
Right. They so right off the bat, like I thought it was weird the way it was shot that they're really trying to make Steve look tall. Like they're trying to make him look big.
See, I thought he was tall.
is tall.
I mean, he is a tall guy, but it just felt like overemphasized. Like the guy that he's going to be sharing the screen with 99.9% of the time is 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
Like they really were emphasizing this guy's big.
This was the original like forced perspective from the Lord of the Rings.
This is the Hobbit.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't have an apartment anymore. He lost his job, and somehow they kicked him out of his apartment between walking from his job back to his apartment.
They didn't they didn't even give the guy a chance.
No.
Like he could have had like thousands saved up. He's like, oh, I got the rent for the next fucking 9 months. They're like, you lost your job, get the fuck out.
Yeah, I think he was already behind on his rent. I think he was already like 2 months behind, and they were like, "All right, this is it. This is it for you, dude."
Shorty's like, you can go to my place, and then they like climbed through like catacombs and he kicked in the wall and then they climbed in there.
The first step to get to Shorty's place was a fucking ladder that looked like it was probably about 3 stories long.
Yeah, it was missing rungs on it. He was like falling down.
I said to myself, if I've got to climb down 3 fucking stories to get to the point where then I have to walk another fucking half a mile to get to the place, I don't want to live with you, Shorty. Like, I'll just sleep on a fucking. There's got to be like little shuttle stations. I'll sleep on the fucking bench in that motherfucker.
Well, they said if you were a vagrant, they'd like throw you out of airlock or something like that, right?
Probably, yeah.
Probably,
There's an easier way to get to Shorty's place, but he has 4 arms, so it's nothing to him.
That's right.
He's ready to do it.
And of course they showed it too when he's climbing the ladder.
Yep.
Well, my question was like, does he do that every night when he gets out of work?
That's what I'm saying.
At the cafeteria or whatever, does he climb down that and then have to kick the wall? What's left of the wall at this point? Who keeps coming every morning and be like, this fucking wall again, and have to put it back up?
I like the fact that this movie, you don't really realize if you watch this movie without any context and without setup, you don't know you're on a space station because they don't really like show the station a lot. I like the beginning though. The opening credits lets you know you're in space because the opening credits is just like a bunch of ships flying slowly through space. So it's like saying to you, this is in space. It's also, I read on IMDb in the trivia section that this is in the year 4038.
Oh, wow.
So we're well ahead. We're well ahead.
We're well ahead more than Megaforce, which was in the future of 1990.
Or Buck Rogers in the futuristic year of 1987.
Dude, I love the fact that you bring up Buck Rogers because here's how this movie felt to me. I was a big fan of Buck Rogers. Okay. Big fan of Battlestar Galactica. This movie felt like watching an episode of Buck Rogers. And by that I mean, I'm not putting it down because actually the effects in terms of like the makeup and the prosthetics and stuff are pretty good in this movie.
Mm-hmm. They are staggering to me. I thought they were absolutely amazing for 1989.
Right, for 1989 and for like, I didn't get the budgetary numbers, but for like little money. But like, I kind of thought to myself, this is like an 45-minute story padded out to an hour and 25 minutes. I can imagine this being a Buck Rogers episode where Buck lands on a space station where fighting is made. And then, like, you know what I mean? Like, and it kind of just ends after 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. So, Mark, what did you think of the actual idea behind the arena fight? Like, why don't you explain that a little bit about how they handicap those fights in terms of, because we're not just using humans. We've got slugs. We've got fucking, bulls on 2 legs.
Yeah. There's creatures from all over the galaxy. And the way that they even it out is by having... they handicapped them by, I couldn't figure out if they were taking away their powers or if they're adding energy to them.
I think it was like a little, I think they were taking away and adding to make them equal.
To make them equal? Okay, all right. So there's a big red light that shines on one fighter and then a big blue light that shines on the other fighter, and that gives them the handicap and they fight each other. And there's different creatures. The movie starts off with a half robot, half lizard. The champion of the universe is Horn. The creature that has 4 horns and is half a cyborg.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Half alien, half cyborg. And he's a handful, and he looks, the makeup effects on him look amazing. I thought he looked awesome, especially during the last fight.
Yeah, he looked good in the guy Steve fights earlier. Well, the thing that like the Cloverfield monster that Steve fights, the guy spends half the fucking his prep spraying him down. Right. I'm like, how slimy does this fucking guy have to be during the fight? I was actually impressed with a lot of the creature effects. Joe, what did you think of that?
I liked him a lot. Everything looks good. All the money went into those costumes and stuff like that. Even the sets, I was noticing that when I was watching it. I was like, the sets, the prosthetic characters in the background, they put a lot of effort into that.
Right.
Yeah, I did notice they kept using the same crowd shot. There was a guy like a green shirt that kept standing up.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to make it look like an arena's full, Mark, and you only got 17 people there dressed in fucking in space stuff, You got to make something happen. We get to a point where Steve runs into a little bit of trouble with the local bad guy, Rogor. He's kind of like the mob boss of of this underworld. He runs into a little bit of a problem where they owe him money. Were you as amazed as I was that the whole movie didn't revolve around him owing the money? The money scene just immediately is solved.
Right. No,
I was like, how fast could you have fucking done that? I thought the whole movie was going to be about... So essentially what happens real quick is they go somewhere and Shorty takes money that belongs to Rogor.
Yep.
And Rogor finds out about it, and he takes Shorty hostage and says to Steve, "You got to find me the money."
Yeah, they had given Steve a one-way ticket home to Earth. Rogor is like, well, you owe me $18,000. And he's like, well, I have this ticket. And he's like, well, that's worth, I don't know what he said. $13,000. And he's like, well, I got to get the rest. And he like leaves, comes right back with it. And even Rogor's like, well, I mean, you got like $6,000 in like 3 minutes. So that was pretty impressive. I literally come work for me.
I thought the whole movie was going to revolve around Steve has to fight to free Shorty.
Right.
No, that problem is written away in fucking 7 seconds.
And it's meaningless for the rest of the movie. It has nothing ever is referenced to that again.
No, but he is the way that he got the money is that he owes his life or whatever to Claudia Christensen character.
Yeah. He owes Quinn now a debt. She wanted him earlier. After she saw him beat up her guy, the fish guy was one of her fighters.
Yep.
She sent 2 of her guys to go size him up, and he beats the shit out. Well, it's a good fight, but he ends up beating the 2 of them, and she wants him to fight in arena, as we call it. For her, and he tells her to go fuck off. He's like, I'm not interested. But now that he owes, this life debt to her, he's got to fight.
That's right.
All right. Now, when he does initially get into the fights, Joey, I got to ask you, what's the fuck's up with that outfit he's wearing?
It looks like a cross between like an S&M outfit, Dragon Ball Z, and like a diaper.
Yeah. Mark, how did you feel about this outfit?
It looks like one of the designs of the Masters of the Universe costume, like that they scrapped.
Yeah.
Like it had the shoulder pads, had a big H kind of, and like straps that were the shape of an H, and then he had like Joy said, a diaper on.
He had like plastic gauntlets on. Like I didn't know how that would help you fight at all. It just the whole thing was weird.
It really bothered me. I'm a huge boxing fan, so sometimes I'm like a little hyper focused on things. But he didn't have his hands wrapped, and then they put the gloves on, and then he's punching. Like you would break your fucking knuckles like doing that, and he's hitting like giant monsters. So, like I don't know. It was bothering me the whole movie.
Yeah. Did you think there was enough arena in this movie?
I think there was just enough. I think they found the right balance to do it because it starts off in the arena.
Yep.
And like I said, they show the same guy with the green coat standing up over and over again. So there's, they give the impression that it's a lot. And there's a montage. So yeah, I think there's plenty of arena in the arena.
Maybe they had season tickets.
Now, Joe, I'm sure you're going to say probably the same thing I'm thinking. He meets a starlet eventually.
Yes.
She's very 80s hot, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah. She's definitely 80s hot. She sang a wonderful song.
I was going to say, could her fucking music have been any fucking worse?
No.
That fucking, when he's watching that little like hologram video and listening to it, and he's I think that scene is half in the bag. And I think he's like kind of like into it. I'm like, is this, if this is 4038 music, I'm glad I'm not going to fucking make it. If this is the biggest hit on Epsilon 5 space station, I got to get the fuck back to Earth.
That was probably the first point in the movie where I thought, man, how long is this fucking movie going to be? This song was just going on forever.
Yeah. Any points in the movie, Mark, where you started going, oh, this is dragging?
No, I was still into it. I didn't realize that the hologram singer was the lady from the casino.
That was her, right?
Yeah.
Am I correct? Yeah. Okay, yeah.
I did not realize that at all. I thought it was just like the Star Wars holiday special where Diane Carroll just pops up.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I thought it was. I'm like, oh, this is a weird turn, but okay, I'll take it.
It's a hell of a detour.
One of the biggest scratch your head moments in this whole movie, and it's jumping all the way to the end, but I'm going to jump there real quick, is earlier in the movie, Steve goes to like a function, and the singer shows up with Rogor.
Yep.
And he speaks to her, and Rogor and her obviously are together, and they walk away. Later in the movie, he sees her again, like while he's training.
Yep.
And she's giving him the eye, and he chases her down, and then, as they do, they fuck. After they fuck, this is right before the big fucking fight, she roofies him, but not in a sex way, and she poisons him, essentially.
Yeah.
And he almost dies. He can't make the fight. This is all due to Rogor, right?
Right.
So they have to give him a blood transfusion. They give him 50 cc's of space fucking whatever. And he comes out of it, and he's ready to fight. And Claudia Christensen's character says, where were you last night? And he's like, it's my business. And she's like, you know that's Rogor's girl, right? And he gets really fucking mad. And I didn't understand that because fucking 5 scenes ago, he saw her come with him to the fucking... Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was sitting up in the box with him during the arena fight, so there's no way he wouldn't have known anyway.
Yeah, okay. I wondered if that was just something people missed in editing. Like, he's already met her with him. This is not a surprise that it's the bad guy's fucking girlfriend.
But somehow she was, like, sad about what was happening at the end of the movie, even though she had poisoned him to the point where he would have died.
2 hours, 15 more minutes or something, or an hour or something. Yeah.
15 more minutes of not catching it, he would have died.
Yeah.
But
she's
now
upset.
she's like, oh, well, now he's losing the fight. He was going to fucking die.
The Christopher Reeve comparisons come up once again in the sex scene because they have sex in like silver blankets. It's the same blankets that he banged fucking Margot Kidder in Superman 2. I'm like, this guy literally can be fucking Superman.
But between this and Megaforce, it's just like Lycra City, just Lycra all over the
Lycra
place.
everywhere. I wonder if those bed sheets were designed by Mattel.
Is this what it was like in the 80s? This is where we missed out being kids.
Yeah, you know, I wish I was an adult and I could have enjoyed those Lycra fucking sheets. So Shorty, hold on, let me. I had something that's gone. So Steve trains, and they give you the little montage, and he's fighting his way through all these different aliens. He fights the Cloverfield alien. He's got to hit him in the sense of nerve, which I think is the testicles.
Yep.
They keep on saying, hit him in the sense of nerve. So we see him progress, and they say it. You don't really see any fervor, but like the human and humanoid people on the space station are rallying behind Steve Armstrong. Rallying behind Steve Armstrong.
A lot of these shots when he's fighting are reminiscent of Rocky. Like, this movie's like if Rocky sucked.
Yeah. His eyes are all closed. I was waiting for him to ask Shorty to cut him.
Yeah. Then, or like, you know, he hits the slug and then they cut to like Shorty being like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like that was such a Rocky type thing.
Yeah. I think I'd written it down, and I had different notes that Shorty was like a mixture between Yoda and Mickey.
Yep.
Like, I think that someone sat there and went, we got to make this guy kind of like his guru, but his trainer.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards.
Well, I got to tell you, when he was banging the 80s slutty singer girl, my first thought was women weakened legs. Like, what was he doing?
I was thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, aren't you a fighter, dude?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be messing around with this shit.
No.
He was like, I'm fucking this girl.
He's like, I've been on this space station for 3 fucking years, and you have not seen what I've been fucking, right? I live in the toilet section of a fucking space station. All right? I've been eating rats for fucking 2 years. I will fuck.
It takes me 3 hours to walk down this fucking ladder to get home every day.
I got to leave my short order cook job, and walk fucking 6 fucking miles to get to the toilet of a space station. So this movie, I can't tell. It's weird because like it's about Arena, but it's also about Steve Armstrong and his life on the, you know, kind of like what's going on the space station. But there's really no clear-cut bad guy in this. It's one of the failures of the movie. You think Horn is going to be the bad guy, but you don't even meet Horn until the last 15 or 20 minutes of the movie. Really? You know? So it's like...
We saw him at the beginning fighting, and then they start brawling in the crowd.
Oh, right, yeah.
Like it's Detroit Pistons. The Malice in the Palace.
So we get that. We don't really get him as really being like... There's no like drive for Steve to beat Horn. Like he did something to him.
Right, but it's like wrestling. Like you don't really need the whole story. You just need to know that this is the bad guy, and you know that he's a bad guy because earlier in the movie he jumped in a crowd. He got steroids. Actually, Shorty or not Shorty. Weasel pumped him with steroids in his arm, and he went crazy and went down the crowd and started to beat the guy.
Right, I forgot the Drago moment. I forgot about that.
So you know that automatically he's the villain. That's all you need to know.
He also does disappear for 90% of the movie.
Yeah.
And we're not invested in him beating him really at all.
And even Rogor, who's like the main bad guy, he really doesn't do much bad through the whole movie. At one point, think about it. At one point, he kidnaps Shorty, but then very honorably gives him back when he gets his money back. Yeah. In most movies, the bad guy would have been like, fuck him, and they would have shot him in the head, and that would have been the drive for the whole movie. Mm-hmm. He does have him poisoned, which is another thing. It just felt like there really wasn't much like for Steve to go up against other than like the stigma of not being able to win as a human champion. And that by that one sentence, I'm thinking way too far into
Yeah, because that's not built up either really in the movie. Yeah. So it's just the excitement of seeing this guy fight rubber monsters.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it was shot like on a day off of Buck Rogers. Is what this felt like. Is what it felt like. I'm not even making fun of it by saying that. That's kind of what it felt like. Joey, what did you think about what was his name? Skull? That was a weird fucking character.
I couldn't understand what they were saying.
Yeah, me neither.
And that might have been the shitty YouTube quality of the video, but it was really hard to understand what they were saying or doing. It was hilarious when their head blew up at the end. It was very violent out of nowhere. Like, whoa!
Yeah, I didn't expect that either. He gets overloaded and he's trying to shut down the handicapping machine.
Yeah.
Right. That's because Rogar can't kill Steve at the end because 80s chick fails. Right. So he tells Weasel to go do his idea. Weasel had the idea that him and Skull could somehow shut off the handicap machine.
Right. And Skull came to Shorty first with that idea earlier in the movie. He's like, yo, I got this idea. We're going to make some money. Let's do this.
Right.
And Shorty was like, get out of here. You're crazy. Get out of here. So then Skull goes to Weasel.
Well, to be fair, Shorty might not even understood what he fucking said because it was like.
So Shorty goes to Weasel. Weasel goes to the main bad guy and is like, all right, we got the plan. We know how to fix this. We know how to fix the fight. And then the bad guy has the girl poison him. That doesn't work. And now it's Weasel and Skull's turn to shine.
And they get up there. Moment. This is their moment. They get up there.
The computer that he was using to hack the handicap machine had like plastic sticks coming out of it that look like the thing you buy at the fair and like spin around in the air.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, it probably was, Joe.
It was. That's what I'm saying. It looked just like, I expected him to like pick it up and start spinning it and it would say like Happy New Year 2021 or something like that in the air.
Look, you don't know how much fucking Horn's costume cost, right. And we don't got a lot of money left over, all right?
Happy New Year 4038.
That's right.
Yeah, 4039 is right around the corner.
Lycra sheets ain't cheap, you know?
Fucking Lycra sheets, poison. None of this is cheap.
You know how much it costs to get love stains out of those things?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You just throw those out. You just throw them out. That's it. They're disposable.
I will say my favorite part about that whole scene, the whole sex scene, is that they show shots of the space station throughout the movie.
Right.
And it's just like the most horrible green screen image that you can see. But they do, because they're on a space station, you can't show like the passage of time. You can't show the sun setting or rising.
Right.
But they do have one good shot of the sun going behind the space station. And it actually looks crisp. Like, it looks crisp and clean. And they're like, we need to show the audience that, yes, he fucked her. And time has passed during this moment. And then it cuts right back to them in the room. So whatever money they had went to that one scene.
I wish I could say I remember that, but it was probably one of the 8 moments where I fell asleep during this movie. I tried so hard. And again, it's not indicative of how I felt about the movie. It's just for whatever fucking reason, I could not stay awake through the whole fucking thing. Mm-hmm. I probably started it 3 separate times, and I'd have to fast forward to get to where I thought I was. So that I definitely saw the scene where they had sex, or at least the beginning of it. So I know I had to have gotten there somehow. What would you say, Joe, was your favorite creature in the film?
The weird slug Cloverfield thing.
Yeah,
was probably my favorite one. It just looked like a pretty awesome effect.
Mark, same thing?
Same thing, because I couldn't wrap my brain around how they would move that thing around, like how the person would fit in the costume and why they would make it so, unyieldly. It just looked uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was very elaborate for something in the movie that's not a main character or anything like that.
Yeah. You would think he would be Horn.
Right.
And Horn would be, because Horn is just essentially a bipedal humanoid.
Yep.
With, cybernetics.
Yeah.
That thing was like like we said, it was like a kaiju almost.
Yeah. It was like a 4-person operated puppet or something. It looked huge.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when he was fighting. I would not want to touch that motherfucker because he did look slimy. He just looked gross as shit. It's definitely not a bad movie. I think for the time, it's an interesting entry into that kind of thing. Yeah. But I just wish there was more of like either the arena or a little bit more of like kind of like maybe a heavier Rogor story. Where he's like I said, like he kills Shorty or something.
Yes.
And there's more to it, right? Yep. Did you guys feel the same way? Like in terms of like maybe there's just not a lot to this movie?
No, once the guy with the fish face that got beat up in the beginning of the movie, once he shows up with like the broken arm and he just has this sad look on his face, like, I got beat up. I couldn't take this movie seriously at all. Like
Yeah.
there was no point. I was expecting any kind of dramatic sequences or dramatic anything that happened in this movie. So I was taking it completely at face value.
And Joe, same thing?
It's a big swing for a movie. I almost feel like it's more than they could handle.
Yeah.
The people that made it. Like you give this idea to somebody else, and this could be awesome.
Yeah.
This could be like fantastic. James Cameron's Arena is like a movie we probably all own on Blu-ray right now, but we got this one. So.
I would say it's like Real Steel.
Oh, yeah.
But better.
But screw you. I love Real Steel.
I saw it once. I remember not hating it, but I don't remember much about it otherwise.
It's like this, but better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or,
All right.
according to me, anyway.
All right. So Arena, it's a tough one to talk about. There's not a whole lot there.
Can I just say my favorite part of this is a Shorty finding Weasel at the top of the thing.
Oh, when Shorty goes up to the top of the fucking
He
okay.
climbs up and he fights Weasel.
First of all,
and
it took him forever to get up there. I'm like,
It took him forever. Meanwhile, Steve is being counted down
Right,
from
right.
10. Yeah, in the arena.
but he's like, oh, Weasel's up there doing something, and he runs to go up there. And any other movie would like cut, and like he'd already be up the ladder.
Right.
It's like it was like 15 minutes to get up there,
Yeah.
and the guy's got 4 arms, and he's used to climbing a ladder. So I don't know why it took him so long to get up there.
But he's used. Well, no, I was gonna say he's used to going down ladders, but he's got to go up as well.
Right,
So yeah, you're right.
But the whole time they're having this, no one will be admitted during the exciting Weasel versus Shorty battle up top. Steve's getting fucking beat to shit.
Yeah, because Skull has shut the handicapper off.
Right.
Yeah.
So now Horn has the strength of fucking 14 goats or whatever the fuck he is.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kicking the shit out of Steve. Yeah. Yeah. And then, like you said before, this movie that, other than the fighting stuff, hasn't been that violent. Like, again, they let fucking Shorty go. Fucking when Skull's head blows up, I'm like, that came out of fucking left field.
Seriously.
That came out of left field.
And then freaking Shorty throws Weasel over.
I forgot he tosses that bitch over the fucking thing.
And the worst body, the worst fucking stuffed body falls out of the sky, hits the crowd, and like no one, like, and then Shorty just pops up like right at the end, like, hey, did we win? Everything's good, right?
It lands next to those people, and they're like, ah! And then the next cuts, all the rest of the cuts of the crowd are just the same generic like shots of the crowd.
The one
cheering.
guy getting up again, yeah.
No one cared.
Yeah, like-
hey man, like those tickets were probably expensive. You go to a Pats game or something, it's like $600 for 2 people. Imagine what it cost in the year 4,000.
Yeah, especially if you're living on that fucking space station.
That's right.
You probably, if you go to that thing and you don't pay the ticket, you're fucking out of your house.
That's right.
Yeah.
You're living in the basement.
You're walking back to your house, and they're like, "You didn't pay for your ticket. Get the fuck out of here. You got to go live in the crack in the wall." Did you like the scene too, where when Shorty is fighting Weasel, the gun goes flying out of the off of the thing, and it hits a dude in the head in the stands? Did you notice that?
It was the fish
yeah.
guy. It was the fish guy that he beat up at the beginning.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, he's all sitting there all beat up with a neck brace and thing, and then the gun fucking
Bounces up. Yeah,
hits him right in the head.
I didn't notice who it was, but I thought that was funny as fuck. I'm like, okay, that's good. At least they're giving us some consequences of the gun fucking going off. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it for Arena. You guys, Joe, you have anything else to add to it?
No, I mean, I like this movie. I think it's a fun movie.
Yeah. Some. I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it. We'll talk about the ratings in a second.
I did like the final scene with the 80 slut coming up to our hero and like, oh, you won, and then Claudia Christensen just like punches her like a classic 80s move.
Stole it from Die Hard.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
'Cause the guy, he wants to punch her obviously because she nearly killed him. So you got to let the lady do it.
You see, I agree with you, and Steve does like smile at her at the end. But I'm pretty sure if that chick wanted to go again, Steve would have fucked her again. he would have just wanted to, look, I'm just not drinking any of the shit you hand me. All right? All right, you're hot as fuck, and I'll give it to you again. Just don't hand me any fucking Diet Pepsis, because I know what the fuck's going on. I know who you're sleeping with.
Slim pickings on the space station.
Yeah,
What happens to Rogor? Did we find out, does Rogor get arrested, or does he get...
Nope, he just stands there with a weird look on his face.
Okay.
Yeah, he was supposed to, if he had lost the fight, supposedly he was going to lose everything. So you don't really see what happens to him, but apparently he loses everything.
He was such a strangely ineffectual bad guy. He literally just looks like low level Dracula on a space station, like greased back hair, and he's got like some fucking face makeup on, and I don't know. Like I wish there was a little bit more that made Rogor out to be a bag. He hangs out fucking Weasel. That dude. Weasel's a joke. Weasel has fucking Shorty held hostage, and he's got rule number 1 going wrong. He's playing cards, and making friends with the fucking guy.
Yeah, losing money to
him. Like, how the fuck is this going on? All right, so Arena, not 1991, 1989. It did come out in America in 91. So we'll start with I'll go first on this one. I want to hear your guys' second. Arena, scale of 0 to 5, Pint Comics rules, and of course quarter and a half scale optional. I watched it 17 times. It's only an hour and 25 minutes long.
It was free on YouTube.
Free on Tubi. I saw it on Tubi, and it still is there if you want to check it out. I do enjoy the Empire and Full Moon stuff, although it's not as good as the better of that stuff. I'm going to go 225. I did enjoy this movie, and a lot of my points are going towards the production design. Mm-hmm. Not even the production design specifically for the space station. It just looks like sets, but like they did put some money into the costuming and the creature effects. I give them full credit on that. A lot of that stuff looked good. Like you said, Horn looked good.
Yep.
Cloverfield Monster looked good. Shorty didn't look great, but you know what? They said this guy's gonna have 4 fucking hands and we're gonna fucking show you a lot. And you know what? They showed me a lot. Every time Shorty could have pulled those 2 other hands out, he's cooking at one point, he's making eggs and fucking bacon, and he's got all 4 hands going like crazy. So I'm gonna give it 2 1/4. Let's go over to Marky Mark. Marcellus, what do you give? I just from our discussion, this could go one of 2 ways with you. Because I listen to your show and you don't ever play your cards out. This is one I think I can hear you say I'm going to give it like a 3.5, but I could also feel like I hear you say a 1 because you seem enthusiastic about a lot of it, but I don't know if that means anything.
Well, I'm glad that I picked this one. I'm not sure about the other movie, but I'm happy with my choice with this one. I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5. I believe it works as a basic, fight story. Here's our hero. Here's the challenges that he has to do, and this is what he has to face. There's a montage. There's a music video, kind of.
Yeah, absolutely, there is.
There's a sex scene with like half a boob. It hits all of the 80 buttons. It just doesn't have a really strong. If the story was like a little bit better, this would probably be like a 3.5. But I'm gonna say 2 out of 5, mainly because it follows the basic storylines. It hits the buttons, and the creature effects are actually really, really good.
All right, Joey, what do you got?
I agree with you guys. I love the creature effects. I like the costuming, the sets. But it's just not bad enough.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm coming from on this. Like, I want to watch schlock. Like, if I'm going to spend my time watching some movie in substandard def on YouTube from the 80s with some guy fighting rubber monsters, I want to, like, rolling on the floor laughing at this thing. And I'm just not there on it. It's just good. It's not great. It's not bad. It's just kind of there. And that's probably why it's not a huge cult movie, where it probably would be if it was a lot worse or a lot better. I'm at like 2.
Okay.
I'm at like 2.
Holy fuck, I'm over you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just at a 2, and it's just because that's not what I wanted from it. Just for it to be adequate is fine, but it's just an adequate movie. Like,
what did you think of the star power of Paul Saddlefield? What did you think of that? Like, do you think he was a strong lead or strong enough lead?
He was fine. Everything in this movie is like fine or surprisingly okay.
Yeah, I was surprised that he did like that. There's a fight scene where the 2 guys come to beat him up, and he did the whole thing shirtless.
Yeah.
And he's falling through tables and crashing through doors, and the guy doesn't have a shirt on. I'm like, all right, I'm impressed, dude. Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish he fought the arena fights shirtless, because that fucking outfit.
That outfit was bad.
That outfit looked like, honestly, I couldn't tell if that was a fighting outfit, an S&M outfit. Like it was. I pictured that being something that would be like in the Fredericks of Hollywood's men's section.
Yeah, it looked like great value Dragon Ball Z. That's the best.
Yeah,
it was fucking terrible. It was fucking terrible. All right, guys, whichever one of you wants to do it, tell everybody out there all about So Wizard Podcast, where you can be heard, what you talk about.
Yes, you can check us out every week. SoWizardPodcast.com is the main hub. We are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. So definitely check us out. You can catch our podcast every week on iTunes, Spotify, Good Pods, wherever you can find podcasts. SoWizardPodcast.com.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for making the trek down. Massachusetts guys coming down south to Connecticut.
Hell yeah, bro.
Always awesome to talk to you guys. I'm Pint of Comics. I'm John. Manster isn't back yet. He'll be back soon. Or he's been back and this episode's out after. I don't fucking know. I'm not as planned out as So Wizard.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. He'll be around. All right. All those places that Mark just said, you can find us as well. So until next time, see ya.
It's over, Johnny. It's over! Nothing is over! Nothing! You just don't turn it off!